Location is extremely important when it comes to photography and cinematography. But before you get all keyboard warrior on me, let me explain what I mean. Now, location is a lot more than just a beautiful place. Yeah, of course, if you go to an amazing waterfall or like an amazing mountain, your photos most likely will look awesome. And I know what people are gonna say, location doesn't matter. As long as you're a good photographer, you can take good photos anywhere. Let me just explain what I'm talking about. When I think of location, I don't just think of a place on the map. When I think about location, I think, oh my gosh, I tried to go up my nose. Where was I? Oh yeah. There's other things to think about when you go to a different location or when you think about location. And the first thing I think about is weather. Yes, you can't control the weather, but weather is gonna have a really big impact on your photo when it comes to lighting and color. When it's overcast or if it's a darker, moody day, your colors will usually be darker and less saturated than if it was on like a bright sunny day like right now. It's so bright right here. Oh, I'm moving to the shade. Another thing to think about when you're location hunting or looking for a location are gonna be the colors around you. And this is gonna become more of a thing that we'll talk about later in this video. But when you start developing a style, colors are gonna become very important to you. And if you're like some people, color usually is a theme within. There's a lot of photographers that don't have specific color themes, and I envy those people. But if you do have a color theme or end up having a color theme, that's gonna be a major thing you're gonna wanna think about when you're looking for a location. Now, the next big thing to think about, and you could tie this in with weather and like time of day, but one thing to think about outside of those things is available light. Like for example, where I'm shooting, there's this massive field behind this tree. There's tons of natural available light. If you were to go to more of a jungle or a denser forest, or if it's overcast or whatever, your available light is gonna be limited. And again, this goes back to what I want to talk more about at the end of this, but once you start developing a style, the amount of light in your photos actually is going to have a great impact on the consistency look or the consistent look of your style. Now, I'm going to use my photos and my grid. Oh, I hate saying that so much. But my collection of photos as an example. Now, if you scroll through my photos, you will see that I have struggled to find a style or a good looking style. I have gone through a lot of different phases when it comes to photography, but I think that's good. I think that we all need to kind of do that to figure out what we really like. But you'll see to a point that I start finding my colors and everything that I like to shoot. Now, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, but if you look at like, especially some of my favorite photos I've ever taken, you'll notice something very, very similar with them. They were shot like middle of the day, harsh light, clear blue skies, and this kind of green foliage that grows kind of around where I live. Now, it's good because all those photos have a lot of cohesiveness and they look good together. But if you start nitpicking and looking at them, you'll notice that, like for example, the time of day thing that I kind of mentioned and how important that is, if you look through a lot of the photos, they were all taken at different times of day, mostly around this time, but different nonetheless. And that even just the type of blue in the sky can change from photo to photo. Be a little bit darker, deeper blue. The other one is less blue, more pale because it was hotter out that day, or whatever, right? And these are things you can consider. I don't think you should just dwell on them a lot, but it is something to consider and something that can really improve your photos if you just want to go to that next level. So if you look through my photography, you'll see where I figure that out and figure all this out, and then you'll see where I'm not able to get similar looking photos. Like my newest photos, for example, a lot of them have been overcast days, and I even didn't even want to shoot on those days but I didn't have a choice. I wanted to take photos, I wanted to get out. I'm not just gonna sit around and just because the weather's bad outside, I'm not gonna take photos if I have an opportunity to take photos. And you will see, although there are similarities, like I'm using the same presets I did like 2 years ago, right? You will see that they're even different. Even the colors are way different. The mood is way different. Like the older photos that are taken on bright days like today, they're very pastel-y, very desaturated, low contrast. But then you look at some of my newer photos and they're more contrasty, dark and moody. And no matter what I did to kind of bring them back to my look, they just really didn't get there. So these are all things you need to consider when you're trying to develop your style. There are tons of videos out there that are gonna tell you how to edit your style, how to manipulate colors, all this stuff. But if you are struggling, you're like, man, I got my editing down. I don't have my editing down. I'm not a good editor. Anyway, let's just say you're a great editor, but you're still like, man, why can't I like nail this? Why are my photos still not that consistent? These are things you can think about. When it comes to your location, the colors around you, the time of day or available light, weather, all these things play a big role when it comes to how your photo is going to turn out. Because editing is amazing, but editing goes to a point that if the photo wasn't taken with intentions to be edited a certain way, it's just going to look over-processed and it's not going to look good anyway. So yeah, that's my opinion on why location is so important. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and thank you for watching another video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.